Good morning, everybody. In this video today, I'm going to do an unboxing and tell you a little bit about how I'm going to set up this Tunze Osmolator. I'm going to be doing it on my Sea Reefer 170, and oh look, it's morning time here. The lights just turned on. Hi Lucille. This is Lucille. She's our female. She is begging for food in the morning, but she loves to hang out in her corner. There she is with Benny. Benny and Lucille. Anyway. So let's do a little unboxing, tell you about my system, and show you how I'm going to install it and why I chose to do it that way. My family also just got news that we found a bigger apartment, so my wife and 2 kids and I are going to be moving. And guess what that means? Moving the tank. We're moving in about 3 weeks, so stay tuned because I will do some moving videos to show you how I'm going to accomplish this monumental task. Luckily, my Reefer 170 is only 43 gallons total, and I only have in there 2 fish, live rock, live sand right now. So it's not going to be huge, and I'm literally moving like 1.5 miles away. But it's going to be a large breakdown, setup, process. Going to have to purchase a few things to make that happy. I want to make sure Lucille and Benny stay healthy and happy the whole time, and I'm just going to hold off on getting an anemone and coral, even though I can do it now, until we move, so that everything is perfectly stable. Anyway, here we go. This Tunze Osmolator. Why I chose it? One, it was on super sale from BRS. It was only like 140 bucks or something like that. And how could I pass that up? I do have a Neptune Apex, and I was thinking of just buying the breakout box and installing float switches, but that was just going to get messy, and this is so clean and neat, and I can still use my Neptune Apex to control how long it turns on if I was really worried about it. Like I could set my timer to come on. I could say, okay, Tunze Osmolator, you're going to only be on for 5 minutes a day. That way, if the sensor's broke, you're only going to, overflow the tank for a couple minutes, right? I'm also only going to be using this 5-gallon bucket for my ATO. This will last me, this 5 gallons will last me about a week and a half. So if I go on any sort of longer vacation, what I can do is I can just overfill the tank. And I'm sure many of you have done this, add a couple extra gallons. It's not going to really affect the salinity that much. And then it will take a little bit longer for those couple gallons. It'll buy me a couple days of all that water evaporating into the air. All right, so let's take a peek here. The Tunze Osmolator. Why I chose it? Because it has 2 things I love. Optical float switch and redundancy. So, basically, if you look at the back, here's the back. It's made in Germany. The optical eye, right here, is the primary, so there's no moving parts there. Just keep it clean, keep the salt off it. It's going to be pretty exact, but it also has a backup of a float switch. So, let's take a peek inside and see what we can find. Alright, so starting off here, we have the instruction manuals in many, many different languages. Some caution, some warranty info. Okay, so here's the DC pump. You can connect your own pump to it, but you have to buy some adapters. It doesn't come connected. This way you can take these threads here. And what you can do is you can punch a hole if you want to in the side of your bucket and just put these through it so that it has a really low profile. But here's your DC pump, runs perfectly silently. They're about 50 bucks to replace, I think. I will probably eventually just replace this with a Cobalt MJ600, something like that, just because they're pretty cheap and I really trust the Cobalt brand. And I've heard of some stories of these failing, and I obviously don't want these to fail. So, here's your water line right here. Let's see here. You put your tube in there. All right, excellent. Next up, the controller. There she is. Very nice. It's gonna focus. I know it wants to. So, the controller, I have heard, I have never used this unit, but with my strategy of plugging it into the Apex, whenever it turns on, it's gonna do a beep. So I don't want to set my Apex to turn this on in the middle of the night, because it might annoy some people. It comes with some Velcro that's in the box, and you just attach it to the back, and you attach it where you want to. Then you have 3 cords going in on the bottom there from left to right. Your left is your power, your middle is your optical eye, and the right side is for the float switch. All right. And you can see here, oh look, they're already attached. Here is the optical eye, which is pretty awesome. And then here is the float switch. Back up. All right, what else have we got in here? Oh, there we go. We have our tubing. Awesome, always necessary. We have a clamp. Looks like our clamp here. This is going to be to help hold the tubing in place in the tank. Wrapped up in here are our magnets, and this is how I am going to install it. There are a few ways of installing it. You can use this one magnet holder to install it. You can use, oh, here it is. Well, here's just the magnets, but you can use a magnet holder. There's a second magnet that comes with it. So you can put your optical eye in one place, and if you want to put your float switch in another or higher up, you can do that. So that's pretty awesome. Here comes the Velcro strips, and last but not least, let's see what's in here. It's not super easy to do with one hand, and obviously I'm just using my iPhone, so I'm no great person at doing this. So this is your power source. Okay, so pretty simple, pretty easy layout, but let me show you what I'm gonna do, why I'm gonna do it. So over here's my control panel that I built. You know, it's nothing fantastic and it's blurry, sorry about that. I'm running out of space and I'm moving soon, so I'm gonna install it anyways because it's 3 weeks worth. But I'm probably just gonna install it right below here. Just put a little Velcro in there, it'll be really nice. And then, here's what I am going to do. And some of you may think this is a horrible idea, and part of me does think it's a horrible idea. But here's my sump. And in the Reefer, it comes with, right here, the 1.5 gallon auto top off reserve. And this is just a little separate thing, right? It just connects on top, right? And how it works is there's a tiny little float valve, as you can see right here. When it gets too low, it just automatically just drains into there. So there's no pumps, nothing like that. So I do like that. I am going to place my Tunze Osmolator auto top off. I'm going to have it top off this auto top off container. Now, there's some good sides and some bad sides about doing that. The good side is the optical sensor and the float switch are only going to ever come in contact with RODI water, which means there's not going to be any salt creep. The chance of failure is going to be a lot less. I mean, RODI water is just a lot cleaner than salt water, so it's probably going to last longer. All right. The downside is, so I'm basically using my Tunze Osmolator to fill up an auto top off, and everything is going to then rely on this float switch, right? So what happens if the float switch goes? Let's say the float switch fails in the on position, right? And it just drains water. Well, I'm only going to be using a 5 gallon bucket. So worst case scenario, I'm adding 5 gallons of fresh RODI water into my tank, which is going to change the salinity, but not enough to really harm anything. Also, I'm going to time how long it takes. So I'm going to drain out this RODI unit here, and I'm going to turn on the Tunze Osmolator with the pump, and I'm going to see how many minutes it takes to fill it up. Then I'm going to set my Neptune Apex to only turn on the osmolator for that many minutes each day, so that each day the maximum amount of water that can be added is 1.5 gallons, right? So there's a lot of redundancy. It's going to be safe. Worst case scenario, my salinity goes from 1.026 to 1.022 or something. You know, no big deal, you know, and it would be something that's slow. Now, let's say something happens with the float switch, something gets clogged, and no water is getting into it. That's obviously a much bigger problem. Well, I have 2 solutions for that, and I know it's not perfect, but, and this is really ugly, I'm really sorry, it's kind of embarrassing, but when I leave the house of the day, I've turned this iPhone into a webcam, and I face it towards my tank so I can kind of look at it throughout the day. If my water gets too low at all, my return pump starts sucking up tons of air, and this tank just becomes filled with bubbles, right? So I will know very quickly, because I'll check it several times throughout the day, that the water is getting low. Okay, so then, so what's happening with the auto top off? Well, what I can then do, which is not ideal, but I have my 5-gallon bucket and everything will be connected, and I will just know that for some reason it got clogged or just in the off position. Well, I can go into my iPhone, Neptune Apex, and I can just manually turn on the Tunze Osmolator. I can override everything else, and I can just turn it on, and I can overflow it. Actually, now that I'm saying that, that's probably not going to work because the sensors inside are going to recognize that the water's full. Anyway, I'll have to think about something else for that. Wow, really bad idea there. Anyway, so I'm not really sure now. So I'm going to have to rethink that idea, but I am still going to put it in here. And then if I'm gone on a vacation or something, maybe I will move it down into the tank so it's in there for a little while, a little bit more secure, a little bit more safe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or have any idea how to help me fix this problem, please do comment below and have yourselves a fantastic day. Thanks.